This is the Plant Yourself podcast. I'm Howard Jacobson of plantyourself.com and the Big Change Program with Josh LaJaunie. This podcast is part of my mission to help you live an energetic and excuse-busting life. All right, before we get to today's interview, I've got to talk about that Big Change Program. The registration is now open until February 2nd, 2018, and I've already got a bunch of people signed up, I think 13 or so, and I can't tell you how happy and excited that makes me. And my partner in the Big Change Program, Josh LaJaunie, is even more excited if that's possible. If you aren't familiar with his story, Josh is a former 420-pound, hard-drinking, hard-eating ex-high school football player from the Bayou of Louisiana who's now a competitive ultra-marathoner and media personality. Josh is not a professional health educator. He's just been doing his thing, waking up 3:30 in the morning to train so that he can run his marathons and ultras and also run his two businesses, owning and managing a trailer park and running a private sewer company. Often when I call him, he's in the middle of pulling some nasty stuff out of a drain or a pump motor. And in spite of this incredibly grueling schedule, he's become an informal mentor to literally thousands of people, mostly on social media. I couldn't believe how much time he spends every week responding to Instagram comments, Facebook private messages from people who are inspired by his story and want a little bit of his success to rub off on them. It's really catapulted into the stratosphere since his appearance on the Today Show and on Good Morning America. Literally thousands of people want to join the Missing Chins Run Club, want him to tell them what to do, how to eat, how to think. And obviously, with running two businesses, he can't do it. He can't spend all of his time responding on social media, although, of course, he does the best he can. And that's where the Big Change Program comes in. When you combine Josh's experience and his fierce wisdom and his generosity of spirit with my background in education and behavioral psychology and online learning, you get the Big Change Program. And we are just reopening it now for 3 more days. It's going to close on February 2nd, 2018. And it's a 12-week program with an optional 9-month add-on to overcoming all the behavioral challenges that come with getting healthy. So we'll help you get to your ideal weight, help you reverse any chronic diseases that are related to diet, like diabetes or hypertension or high cholesterol or heart disease, and become the lean, healthy athlete that we're all capable of becoming. So again, you've got till February 2nd to get into the program. We're capping it to make sure that everyone gets personal attention. So to find out more, go to bigchangeprogram.com. You can read all about it. You can watch some video testimonials from people who have already gone through the program, and you can take a test drive. Now, if you're worried that maybe this isn't right for you, we've actually had a few people who've come to that conclusion, and that's why we have a 90-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. Just come try it. Do the assignments, show up. The program does not work by itself. You have to work the program. But if you show up and make an effort and you're not happy with it, you have all 90 days to get your money back. So if you want 2018 to be the year, and even if you've tried many times before and failed, especially if you've tried many times before and failed, check out the Big Change Program. It starts on February 5th. And we would love to welcome you into the Big Change family. All right, enough about that. Let's talk quickly about today's guests. They are Kassi and Derick Harrington. And you are going to love, and be inspired by their story. They grew up in Thibodaux, Louisiana, where they grew obese and ill and miserable on the Standard Cajun Diet. Derick's life revolved around food, hunting and fishing, and then frying whatever he caught. And Kassi was overweight her entire life, as was her entire family. Derick suffered from hypertension, high cholesterol, and autoimmune disease, and he was on the fast track to type 2 diabetes. And he says he had no energy, no passion for life outside of food, and in his own words, he was just existing. Kassi remembers trying to lose weight her entire life. From trying to lift weights when she was 8 years old, to making endless New Year's resolutions, to subsisting on microwave lean cuisine, to every yo-yo diet, and to dangerous weight loss pills like Xenadrin and Metabolife. She wanted to lose weight so badly, she was willing to sacrifice her health. So you've got Derick, who had more or less given up on health and happiness. His wife, Kassi, was chasing every promise, every fad, every restrictive and self-punishing regime that popped into her consciousness with only temporary results. And then something happened that changed everything. So with that tease, let's welcome Kassi and Derick. Derick and Kassi Harrington, welcome to the Plant Yourself podcast.
Hi.
Hey, Howard, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm really excited to be talking to you guys. I don't do a lot of tandem interviews. You guys are like in front of the same computer, I guess?
Yes.
Good. So you can sort of make eye contact and figure out who's going to talk and who's going to listen, and we can figure that all out. Let's start by just one of you just say like who you are and where you live and what you're up to.
Okay. I'll go first. I'm Kassi Harrington. I live in Thibodaux, Louisiana. I'm operations manager for financial services firm, and my brother is Josh Lajani. If you don't know him, a lot of people in the plant-based world do. And he introduced the plant-based diet to our family about 4 years ago. We kind of all hopped on board little by little, and here we are. 4.5 years later, I've lost about 100 pounds being plant-based so far, gained health. And I have a 2.5-year-old, and we are raising him plant-based. And we've just been, super healthy, energized, and it's been really great for us.
Great. Derick, what have you got to add?
My name's Derick Harrington. I'm from Thibodaux, Louisiana as well. I'm a supervisor for my local water utility company. Like Kassi said, I've been plant-based for about 3.5, 4 years now. They started a little before me, and I kind of saw the results they were getting. So I was like, I got to get some of that. So I jumped on board. I'm a runner. Just ran my first marathon last weekend. I've done a 50K, and I'm super excited to see what 2018 is going to bring.
You did a 50K before the marathon?
Correct.
That's how I did it too. I think we were a little nuts, huh?
Yeah.
What'd you think of the marathon? How'd you do?
I did really well. I surprised myself. I wanted to. My goal was to get in under 5 hours, and I ended up finishing at 4:29:48, I believe. It went well, very well.
That's amazing, and it's more amazing when people we get a chance to see your before photos, right? So,
yeah.
Derick, why don't we come back to you? Like, you've written a lot about your transformation, at least in the Facebook groups and that I'm privy to. Can you talk about a little bit about who you were before you went plant-based?
Yeah, sure. I was roughly 280 pounds. I was always a full-on Cajun. I lived the whole Cajun lifestyle. I was a hunter, a fisherman. My whole life revolved around food, which, from South Louisiana, and, that's, the whole world revolves around food. And, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the 280, someone could listen to that and say, well, that's big, but it's not a big deal. Like, but you weren't a very happy 280.
No, I was miserable. I had, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. I had an autoimmune disease. Basically, just on the fast track to having type 2 diabetes. And, no energy, just basically, just existing. I wasn't happy. And it was, about a year after Kassi and, her family started, the plant-based thing, and I jumped on board, and it's been all uphill ever since. I've lost a total of 110 pounds, and You know, it's really awesome.
Wow. And Cassie, what about you? What was your backstory before you found plant-based lifestyle and running?
Well, not kind of unlike Derek. Like, he basically started struggling with weight probably, right after high school or something.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
once we got married, we kind of both put a lot of weight after we got married. But that was kind of like a first for him, I think. For me, I had been overweight my entire life, since a child. I mean, every New Year's since I can remember, was my goal was to, my resolution was to lose weight. I remember being 8, 9 years old, working out in the we had like a little shop by where we lived, a little shed, if you will, and it had a couple of exercise things in there, and I'd go in there and work out, of course, and it never stuck, but I've been doing that since, like I said, since I was a kid. And so I've tried every single yo-yo diet. I've done the carb thing. I've done the, eating lean cuisines basically forever. I've done, every kind of pill basically. I've taken, weight loss pill. I've done Zenadrin, the Metabolife, all those things. Super. And I even used to say, because I wanted to lose weight so bad, and it was such a, I was so vain that I was willing to even sacrifice my health to do that. And that's probably why I did so many unhealthy things to my body to try to lose weight. And, nothing ever worked. I mean, I would get results, but they were all temporary,
Yeah.
and kind of similar to Josh and Dustin, my brothers. Um, I would lose weight and I might keep it off for a little while, but then it would come right back and more.
Yeah.
And every single diet I would do was so restrictive that I felt like I was punishing myself. So whenever I could not be on that diet, I would just basically kind of go wild, and
Yeah.
just binge. And it was just really, really unhealthy habit, or lifestyle, really, because it was my entire life, until finally, um, and just before Josh went plant based, I had kind of already made the decision that I was gonna start seeking health instead of weight loss.
Mm.
And because I think, like, the winter before I went plant based, Derek and I had gone to Disney World. And this may seem really simple to some, but for me it was a big deal.
Yeah, that was a big one.
We went to Disney World, and I had ordered salads for some of my meals on this trip, which was something I would never have done in the past, because salad was diet food, right? And I'm on
Mm.
vacation, and vacation is,
Indulge.
right. It's a free for all. So for me to start going, well, stop associating, like, stop letting that be your happiness. Just go, hey, if you like a salad, eat a salad. Now, granted, the salad did still have meat and cheese in it, but it was a big deal for me to take that step to stop kind of, looking at food in that way, and start going, well, it's just food. If you like it, eat it. And it doesn't, and I stopped like kind of categorizing all these things and go, well, I'm on vacation, so I have to eat cheeseburgers and French fries if I'm on vacation, right?
Mm. Yeah.
And so that was a huge step for me. And so then at that point, I was kind of, I had already kind of set myself up to be open, to being open to more things. And so the following spring is when Josh, well, I say spring, it was for him, it was probably February-ish. And that he had started to kind of seek knowledge, and that's when he did, you know, the no process stuff, and then that transition into plant based. And Dustin's the one that actually kind of, I'll say convinced me, but he didn't really. He just made a statement and said, Cassie, giving up animal products has probably been the easiest way for me to lose weight. And I said, okay, because at that point I was already in trying to change my mindset. And so when he said that, I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. And it was, the rest is history. And I'm not I'm not a jump in right away kind of person. I need to do things in baby steps for me to be successful. So I took it, and I did. I took it in baby steps. There were things that took me longer to give up. And still to this day, Derek and I are still working on cleaning up areas, we're constantly trying to improve. We don't, I don't want to just get to a certain point and go, okay, I'm good. This is good enough. It's better than what I used to be,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something we've really been working on a lot is cleaning up our diet, eating, more colorful greens. And, we got, a couple cookbooks, the China Study Cookbook, Thug Kitchen, which are all great. And, since we cleaned up our diet, we've been losing more weight, been feeling better. And it's, it's just a constant improvement. And it's awesome.
That's amazing. So I'm curious about a few things, Kassi, around. Okay. So, you said for like 8 or 9, it seems like you're always wanting to lose weight. And that sounds a little bit different than your brothers who, they wanted to lose weight, but they had all these role models of really big guys, right? Your grandpa, your Bam Bam.
Well,
how is it different? Do you think it was different for you as a girl, as a woman, being heavy compared to, all the big men in your life?
Absolutely. It's much more acceptable for a male to be overweight. So yeah, absolutely. And I guess that's probably why I never knew that Josh felt the way he did, because I thought it was perfectly acceptable for a guy to be, especially down here, and a lot of girls like big guys. And so I thought it was almost like cool for them to be like that, whereas for me, it was, for women, I felt like it wasn't as acceptable, and I just didn't feel good. Now, I think Dustin probably may have struggled a little bit more than that with Josh, because Dustin and I, we both struggle with weight from a younger age, much younger age than Josh did.
Uh-huh. Gotcha. So when you guys met, and I'll preface the sort of the line of questioning by saying that one of the really hard things for a lot of people is when one person changes in a marriage, that it's very often really tricky for the other person and for the relationship to not be, for the one who's changing not to preach, or for the one who's watching the other one change not to feel scared or defensive or confused. So it sounds like, Kassi, you went first. What was it like for you, Derick, to see Kassi begin this journey of basically rejecting the lifestyle that you guys had sort of tacitly agreed was the way you were going to go?
It was a huge change. At first, I was totally against it. I was like, how could you not live? How could you live without eating meat, and dairy? Because I was such a huge meat eater. I mean, my whole world revolved around the next place, my next meal, and to see her going to a plant-based diet, I was like, this isn't going to work. Just another thing. But, after about 6 months or so, it took me about a year to start, participating. And like I said, after about 6 months, I started seeing, real progress with Kassi and Dustin and Miss Ramona. And, they were losing weight.
Which is Cassie's mother.
Right. Yes, Cassie's mother. They were losing weight and feeling better. And they started, running and exercising. And I was, and I'm just sitting there, just my miserable self, just totally depressed and, down and out. So one day, I just decided, I was like, you know what, I'm going to give this a try, because what I'm doing now isn't working for me, and it's time to change. And, well, that's been the best thing I've ever done.
Right. Do you think that at some point you were sort of actively or passively trying to sabotage Kassi near the beginning?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
What did that look like?
Just when we would go eat out somewhere, we go to dinner, and I'd order my typical, the ribeye and baked potato and the normal. And she would get a salad, and I was, just try to, kind of push it on her.
Oh, it's okay.
It's
You've been
okay.
doing
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like, oh, we going to run tomorrow. It's okay. You could have a couple of bites, or, just.
And the famous one, well, you're beautiful to me anyway,
Right.
or whatever. You can do that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That was
Uh-huh.
a big one.
And so, Kassi, what was that like for you? I'm just imagining how hard it is to resist that combination. I mean, if someone says, oh, you're beautiful to me anyway, like, I'll eat off of their plate.
Right. It's extremely difficult because, and for the first, 4 years we were married, and we were together for 3.5 before we got married. So the first 7 years we were together, I listened to that. I listened to, it's okay, you're
Yep.
beautiful, and that's why
And
I
we
put on a
both-
ton of weight.
We both put on 100+ pounds, I would say,
Yeah, and then yeah, absolutely.
in that time frame.
I put on more than 100 pounds, and finally, like I said, it was about two. I don't know how long it was after we got married. So I went plant-based about 2.5 to 3 years after we got married. So, and I had realized at that point, because like I said, I had always wanted to lose weight, and like many people, it was for a thing, to fit to look good in my clothes this summer, to go on this vacation, to meet a guy, like whatever it might be. It was always a thing. Well, here I was, I don't know how old I was at this time, 27, 28-ish, had a great job. I was married, have my own plate. Like, I have all these things. And so now I no longer have this thing I need to lose weight for, but yet I'm still not happy with myself. And so I realized it's not about the thing that you want to get. It's about you. Like, how do I feel inside? And so when I had all these things, that I thought I was trying to, I wanted to lose weight for so I can achieve these goals or get to this thing, and I have all these things and I'm still not happy with myself, that's when I kind of realized, okay, it's you. Do it for you. You've already got a guy. Don't do it so you can meet a guy, and learn to really love yourself and love yourself enough to be able to fix it, to fix whatever it is that you want fixed,
See, I love the way you put it, because you're right. So Derick is telling you this loving thing. He says, you're beautiful to me anyway. And you're saying, like, no, like, love for me is about loving myself enough to fix myself rather than loving myself enough to stay the same.
Right.
Right. Yep.
So during that time, Kassi, where you're sort of pushing ahead, and I imagine it was very difficult. What was your relationship with the rest of your family? Like, were they like, oh, thank God Cassie's on board now? It sounds like you were the third of the three after Josh and then Dustin.
Yeah, and my mom, because my mom had kind of started too, but she and I probably were kind of, probably closer together, and we both kind of took, smaller steps. But yeah, my family was super supportive, always, and they always have been, and even more so now. I find as a unit, we've definitely grown closer together, just because, we're all. I say this thing a lot, it's kind of hard to love other people when you can't love yourself. And so, now that we're all happier inside, that kind of radiates out. And so we're just happier people. And that, I think, has strengthened our family a ton.
Absolutely.
And so we're very supportive. But yeah, my family was super supportive at that time. It was a struggle in our marriage because to say it was tough was an understatement. Yeah. Because, you could tell that there was some shame with Derick because I was making this move and he wasn't. And I was encouraging him to change, but at the same time, he had to want it. I can't make that happen. But because there was some shame, that caused some, sometimes him hiding things from me. And so that added like another level of frustration and stuff like that, because then I felt like, why do you feel the need to hide this from me? And so that was really, really difficult. But, I knew I needed to make this change, and it was something I wanted to do. And so I just, I powered through, and it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out great. A big turning point for me was similar to Josh's story, the Crescent City Classic in New Orleans. Kassi decided she wanted to run it, and I wasn't on board at all yet. And she's like, "Look, our whole family's doing this race. I would like you to participate." So I was like, "Okay, yeah, fine, whatever."
What year was this?
This was 2014.
14.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
I started, walking with her and, doing a little running here and there. So, I think I got up to like 4 miles before race day, my longest run. And this was a 10K. So,
which is a little over 6 miles.
Yes. Correct.
So, on race day, I'm lining up in in my corral, and, it's very exciting. People are fired up, it's something new to me. And I was like, I thought to myself, I could dig this. And, so anyway, the race started, and, I got about halfway through, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I don't like this. The typical beginner. So ended up making it through. I finished in like an hour and 27 minutes and some change. And, as I'm passing through the finish line, it just hit me. It's like, wow, I really love running. And, after that is when I really started to jump on board with the plant-based thing, because, I really enjoyed the race. I wanted to keep improving, and, it's just been a snowball effect ever since. It's been wonderful.
Well, so when you were training for that, was that like, grumbling about this is so boring, or it hurts, or it's stupid?
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to do it at all. I wasn't motivated at all to even try. I was just basically following Kassi around, just pouting the whole time.
And it's amazing how, like, a race can totally turn you around. What was it about the race? You'd run many, many miles already. What was different about the Crescent City Classic experience that turned you on?
I guess it's just the people and, the atmosphere. It's a really, happy, exciting environment. And, it's something I never experienced before growing up. We lived in a really small town, and, there wasn't anything to do but, go fishing or go hunting and, fry everything. So, just to be in that kind of environment, really sparked something in me to want to change and be a part of that,
Huh. That's great. And so what was that classic like for you, Kassi?
It was a big deal for me. I didn't do it well. I mean, well, for me, I guess you could say I did, but it was slow, but I had never done 6 miles before. In fact, even as a kid, I never could run or did run. I couldn't even run a 1/10 of a mile without stopping,
Mm-hmm.
And so for me to, all the changes I had already started making in my diet, changing my mind about, being healthy and things like that, and then changing my diet, and then, and I had liked to walk a lot, but like I said, running was never something for me. And I didn't run the entire 10K, but I did run as much as I possibly could, but I was super, super proud that I was actually able to finish a 6-mile race. That was, one of those things that you just don't think is ever going to happen, and then you do it. And now I run 10Ks in the morning before I go to work. So, I mean, that's pretty cool, to see how far you've come. Never would have thought that.
Right. So could you tell that something had changed for Derick during and after that race?
Yes.
What did it look like?
was excited.
Yeah.
I was excited, to sign up for another race and get to experience all that excitement again, It's something very new to me.
Yeah, and then he wanted to learn more, start asking questions and go. And like I said, and I just want to be clear here, but like I mentioned before about us taking baby steps, or in me especially, but Derick too. We live in South Louisiana. There's a lot of seafood down here, and so like when we first started making these transitions, we kind of hung on to the seafood for a while. We gave up the meat, or I did. I gave up the meat right away. Derick kind of gave up meat in steps, like, well, I'm just going to do it on weekends.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll just have one meal a week. And then I would just have one meal every other week until it got to where, whatever, it's so rare. But for me, like, I kind of hung on to the seafood for a while. But, like, we wouldn't buy dairy.
Uh-huh.
Now, that's not to say if I ate out, I might not dip my chip in a queso once in a while, whatever. I would do that. Until that kind of got to where, what, that's really not necessary, and so little steps like that, I would just get to, and then, so I hung on to the seafood for a while, I'd still have the dairy once in a while, and then I just would kind of, from there, just back off more and more and more, until now, like I said, we're cleaning up so much to a point now that we're trying to make sure we get, more greens in, things like that. It's not even a question of, hey, are we going to eat cheese anymore? Like that's gone,
Uh-huh.
even at a restaurant, but we kind of took that approach, and I feel like that helps some people, because if they look at if someone would look at me now, for one of my friends, for example, if they would look at me now, they might go, oh, I could never do that. Well, I just want people to understand.
We used to think that as too.
Right. You don't have to go like this. I've been on this journey for 4 years. I don't expect you to have to, be where I am at this point, or where Josh is, or whatever.
It can be pretty scary,
How so?
Well, especially
for
people down here in South Louisiana, going to a plant-based diet is just insane, because like I said, the whole world revolves around roux and stews, fried fish. It's when,
or the boiled crawfish,
right.
Whatever it may be.
Our entertainment is food around here, basically.
Right. So, Derick, I have to ask Derick a guy question, which is, when you decided that you were into this, that you were like loved running and you were going to like discuss, learn more about plant-based, was there some part of you that was like, shit, like, like I have to admit that I was wrong, because I'm just feeling it for myself, like all the times that my wife was like years ahead of me and stuff, and like part of the reason it took me so long was that she was already there. You know what I'm asking?
Yeah. It was I kind of felt like way behind. So in those times, I kind of cleaned up my diet like a lot really quick to try to catch up, per se, something like that.
I would say it was difficult, though.
It was very difficult, yes, absolutely. But I felt like I caught up pretty quick with him, and we just been getting better and better ever since.
He can tend to be kind of stubborn at times, and so for him to admit that, I think it was difficult.
Yeah.
But
it was very difficult.
Well, I get a sense from your Facebook feed that you're still pretty stubborn, but you're now stubborn in a different way. Like you're like relentless in promoting this lifestyle, and you're on your Facebook feed. There's a lot of HTFU around. Like I saw one today. Genetics doesn't get you up at 4 a.m.
Right.
And running slow isn't a failure. Quitting is. Like you're pretty stubborn, aren't you?
Oh yeah. I'm just excited. I mean, being plant-based and running, I truly believe it saved my life. It gave me my life back, and I just want to share that with everybody. And if I could help one person get on board, then I've succeeded. You know what I mean? I just love it. Life is so much better this way. and I just want to show everybody.
Right. So you ran your first your first 10K, was that in 2014? Was that both of you your first 10K?
Yes.
Yes.
So Derick, you were like just under an hour 30 minutes.
Correct.
And Kassi, what about you?
I think I was like an hour 42 or 4, something like that.
And so, like, that's amazing and that's wonderful. And you've continued to progress in terms of running. So how do you think, like, a lot of people want to go plant-based, they want to eat healthier, but they kind of do it for weight loss, or they do it for their A1C or their blood pressure or for the animals. But you guys were chasing, like, performance goals.
Right.
Weren't you?
I
Like,
was probably chasing health and weight loss before that. I would say that was probably higher on my priority, but
That race was a pivot point, though.
But for Derick, yeah, absolutely. And now I will say that I am chasing it, for health and weight loss, but you can add, like, performance is a big deal for me now, because I do know, now that I've been eating so clean for so long, when I do eat something off, I can feel it in my joints. And when I'm eating really clean and eating really healthy, and the lighter I get, the better I run. And that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. And just, the more we clean up our diet, well, for me, I find I recover so much faster.
Yes.
Like, the cleaner I eat, the better I recover, the faster I can run. I just feel better. I have more energy. It's so awesome.
So when you look, like, you've recently posted a bunch of photos of, like, I think it might have been your wedding, the two of you, right, with the whole family, and then next to pictures of you now, like these, athletic running beasts. When you look back at those old pictures, do you, like, recognize yourselves? Do you feel like that's a different couple? Like, how do you relate to your past?
First, I'll just say this, just as a side note. And also in those before picture that I did post, you talking about the one of Josh and Dustin and myself?
There's that one. I think there's also a photo of, like, the two of you.
Well, I hadn't even, and that wasn't even my heaviest. I had probably put on another 40 to 50 pounds after the wedding.
Yeah, she had lost weight to get in her wedding dress.
So yeah, with that being said, it feels really great. But yeah, it is difficult to recognize yourself, because I don't think. Now, I would avoid, when I had gotten to be my heaviest, I would avoid pictures. I started to be like that. And you kind of get in denial. You're wearing the bigger sizes, but, oh, well, it's cheap clothing. They just run bigger. I'm not really in that size. It's probably realistically, you make up all these little lies to make yourself feel better. But honestly, no. Like, I knew I was overweight and I knew I need to do something. I did not think I looked that big.
Me either.
Like, not at all.
When I look back at pictures now, it's like, wow, what was I thinking? Because, I used to think, for my wedding pictures, I thought I looked good back then. I was like, I look good in this tux, I make it look good. And I was looking at the picture. That's why I posted them the other day, because I was like, wow, what was I thinking back then? I just looked horrible, and just didn't look happy,
Yeah. So as you guys started changing, so I know you've got, the Lajani clan, many of whom are making this shift, with you, before you, supporting you. Derick, what about your family?
No. I mean, little bitty changes here and there, like, my uncle and my nanny, they'll, they started buying, like, the morning star stuff, like the vegan junk food, per se.
Almond milk.
Almond milk. They made a couple of changes.
They're listening.
They're listening.
Watching, I should say.
Yeah, they watching. They're very proud of me, and they still hadn't jumped on board at all really yet. But you could tell that they paying attention.
Their ears are perked up.
Yeah, right.
So they're not like ostracizing you or giving you all sorts of grief.
No, I mean, for the most part, they're very supportive and accommodating when we go there. Like for Thanksgiving, they'll ask what we want to eat. They'll go buy all the stuff for us, and when we get there, we'll cook everything, and they're very supportive.
Uh-huh. Great. So you're using sort of your own experience of baby steps to sort of not pressure them, sounds like.
Right. I'm not putting pressure on them. I'm not preaching to them. I'm just, trying to lead by example.
Mm-hmm. What about like people in the workplace who, I mean, you guys both, have work circles and other social circles where, as you said, you're in South Louisiana, right? Where food is the number one pastime.
Right.
What do people who've known you for a while think about your transformation?
They're very encouraging and supportive. They always compliment me at work and stuff, but they still give me a little grief about being plant-based and all. They actually call me lettuce at work, but I just laugh it off because I mean they mean well, but for the most part, they really supportive, and they always asking questions, how to lose weight, and asking about my runs, and I think they, I got them interested. I got them listening,
Hey. And Kassi, do you have something to add to
No, I
that?
was just gonna say, yeah, same for me. The people I work with, I work in a small office. There's only 5 of us total, but they're pretty supportive. I mean, they mess with me here and there once in a while, but they ask me questions like, they were asking me what we eat for Thanksgiving, stuff like that, and I was just telling them, because they're like, hey, if you don't eat turkey, what do you eat? Well, a lot of stuff, but but they actually call me because we go out to a lunch together a lot because we're such a small office, and I've gotten pretty good at being able to go just about anywhere. It doesn't matter, and I can find something to eat. And so, but a lot of times, especially if you go to steakhouse or something like that, a lot of times I'm just eating the sides. And so they call me Kassi on the side Harrington. And so it's pretty funny. But yeah, because like I said, I'll just get steamed broccoli and a baked potato or something like that. And they're like, you're the only person I know. And so they make fun of me saying, oh, she's just going to want all the sides. So, but they're really supportive.
That's great. I'm curious about one other thing. Well, a couple other things. One of them is, what else has changed since you're going plant-based that you're kind of surprised about? And I'm asking that partly because I've talked to Josh a lot about like how his social views and sort of worldview shifted, from a certain standpoint to kind of what he feels is like more sort of open. And I'm wondering if you experienced anything similar where you were more open to different ideas and things that maybe you hadn't grown up with after the plants came in.
Yes, definitely more compassionate. And I think it has a lot to do with the food. I really, really do. A couple of us in our family kind of use the term meathead, and we'll say, and it's not to be ugly. It's just like, if we know someone who's kind of still has like an ugly attitude, we'll kind of say, well, they're just a meathead. And we don't mean it in like a derogatory term or anything. We just simply mean that when your mind is like, so when you're consuming all these animal products, I feel like your mind can't be as clear. And I guess I wouldn't have known that had I never made the transition. But yes, I have clear mind, definitely more compassionate, much more open-minded.
Right.
Just because, and I've really learned, like, just because this is what I've been taught my entire life doesn't mean that it's, the correct way or the right way. So how about we just listen? Let's find out for ourselves. Don't just defend something or an idea just because it's all you've ever known.
Right. And we've educated ourselves a lot more. And, I think that really helps, with keeping an open mind to, trying new things and just trying to be better people.
Great. So I'm still curious about the running. So what in your last competitive 10Ks that were timed? How did you do?
I don't remember. I think I don't remember what I did. I know I
I don't
did
remember my last one.
my last race. I don't remember what it was. I had beat my previous one. Now I will say this. So my first 10K was in 2014. Then I got pregnant at the end of 2014. So my running had kind of been put on the back burner. I would still do it, but it just wasn't as aggressive, I guess. I did do the Crescent City Classic 6.5 months pregnant.
Oh, really?
I did. It was very slow. It was probably over 2 hours or right at 2 hours, but I did do it. So after I had Grayson in the fall of 2015, I kind of started to get back into running. So I don't remember what my 10K was this year. I want to say maybe 130 something.
Uh-huh.
I want to say.
Yeah.
But I run in a lot. Like I said, I run a lot of 10Ks. I'm right now, like, for training runs and whatnot. And my last 10K that I did was like 123 or 122.50, something like that.
Wow. So huge improvement over
Yes.
2015.
Yeah.
Yes.
And mine, like I said, my first one was an hour and 27 minutes, 48 seconds, I believe. And my last 10K timed race was, I got in right under an hour. It's like 59:30 something.
Wow.
And just doing a training run around here the other day, I believe I got 54:48, something like that. So I'm getting faster. When I decided to do that, the 50K, I trained really slow, just so I could last longer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And since that's been over with, I think that was in September. I've started doing speed work, and I'm getting faster and faster. It seems like every week I'm knocking 10, 20 seconds off a mile. It's just huge improvement.
Mm-hmm. And you guys get up pretty early to do this, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think a few weeks ago I was up at 2:30 in the morning. I ran 15 miles. Just couldn't sleep anymore, so I got up and laced up and went log some miles.
And we get up about 4ish typically, and we have a little one, so we have to take turns.
Yep.
He'll go one day, I go the next day. And we just make it. We both, we have a toddler at home. We both have full-time jobs. We both have a decent commute.
Yep. We make it work.
You just have to find a time.
Got to sacrifice.
Right. So, I mean, just out of curiosity, like the hours you spend running, and I know you wouldn't have necessarily gotten up at 4 a.m., but like, what have you sacrificed? What did you used to do, before all this that you have like jettisoned from your lives?
TV, basically.
Yes,
about it.
TV.
And that really doesn't bother me that much, except for this kind of like right now because, it's holiday time and I'm a sucker for Hallmark movies. So I've not been able to watch very many of them. But other than that, it hasn't been much of a sacrifice, too much of a sacrifice because what you gain from running is so much better, than what I would get from sitting on the couch watching TV.
Right.
Mm. So you mentioned, the toddler, Grayson. I've met him. He's brilliant and adorable. And you guys have started a Facebook, I guess it's a fan page, right?
Yes.
Called Planted Parenting.
Yes.
Tell us about that. What made you start it, and how are you parenting in a planted way?
Okay, well, I was inspired because I have a few friends, I have one cousin that lives in Austin, Texas, and they're plant-based. But just a couple of friends here and there. My sister-in-law has a girl she works with. she decided to go plant-based, and she has an 11-month-old, and the dad of the 11-month-old is trying to fight her on raising the kid plant-based. So she had kind of texted me and messaged me asking me, for advice and things like that. And so I was kind of inspired just to create this page. And I thought of the idea several months ago, and I just hadn't done it. And the page is still kind of in its infant stages.
Yeah, it's still up and coming. We still have a lot of work to do.
I have a lot of great ideas, but, I already don't Facebook a ton. But I am trying to come up with things to post on there and put on there. And we're working on it. But basically, so Grayson, we basically raised Grayson plant-based. Now, when I had him, I did start off breastfeeding, but because of certain circumstances and things, I wasn't able to fully breastfeed, so I did have to go to formula. But once he was able to start eating solid foods, Derick and I actually made his baby food.
Every Sunday we make his food for the whole week. We bought it's called a baby bullet. And we just get, some fresh frozen vegetables and fruit and, kind of blanch it and blend it up. And, he absolutely loved it. Mm-hmm. It's so good for him, too.
Now, one of the things you hear is that eating plant-based is like elitist and expensive. I'm imagining that making your own is cheaper than buying the little jars.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
For a week of food, it was like $30 tops.
We'd make about 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah, and for 2 weeks. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So what's an example of like something that would go in a jar that you'd make?
Well, in the beginning, because, you're only supposed to introduce, like, one food at a time. In the beginning, it would be just, like, squash or zucchini. But then we started, once he was, like, introduced to all these different foods, we would just kind of get creative with it. Yeah. And it was kind of fun. We would mix, like, blueberry, mango, spinach, or, whatever. Just
kale, apples, and pears.
Yeah.
He loved it.
We would make up all kind of different little recipes and just blend it up, and we got these little bitty like Tupperware containers, and we would label it and freeze it.
And he would let us know if he didn't like them.
But they were pretty much
he liked them all. Yeah,
it was just a couple of.
It was a success, I would say.
I think the peas he wasn't a huge fan of. Yeah. Maybe I don't remember which one, but so we did that, and then once he was able to start eating solids. more and more food, solids and things. We would, make him a lot of beans and rice, which he loves.
He is a sucker for beans and rice. The kid loves his beans.
We do vegetable spaghetti, things like that. And now
vegetable spaghetti, meaning like spiralized, or like spaghetti with vegetables.
Correct. So we make a sauce with vegetables and tomatoes and stuff like that, and then we would put it over noodles.
Gotcha.
And we've done spiralized zucchini as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, typically it's just like the tomato sauce made with vegetables.
Right. So he's eating normal food, right? It's not like it's not
Correct.
Like you have to like order things from the Himalayas and
Right.
And now that he goes to daycare, the daycare works with us really well. They give us a menu of what they serve, and we just basically send him a dish that mimics whatever they're serving.
Whatever they're eating, right.
Uh-huh. So for example, like, because I think a lot of people think that if they're going to be plant-based, they've got to learn a whole new vocabulary. Like,
mm-hmm.
That everything has to be, quinoa and, shaved radicchio or whatever. So you're mimicking the foods that they're serving to kids because they're easy to make, because kids like them, because they're cheap, right? So what sorts of things are you doing, and how are you doing it?
So like, for instance, like I mentioned before, so on spaghetti days, because they have hot dog spaghetti, okay? So we just do vegetable spaghetti, okay? We send them that. They have a couple of days where they do beans,
chicken nuggets,
beans and rice. So they do chicken nuggets. So we'll make like little patties out of like smashed chickpeas and like toss like coat them in a breadcrumb or something like that, or something crunchy and bake it.
Yep. They do corn dogs.
Yes, so we do, and my mom helps a ton with this.
Oh, yeah.
She's a godsend.
Hmm.
We'll do baby carrots, and she has a cornbread recipe that doesn't have milk or eggs. You know, she uses flax instead of ground flaxseed instead of eggs, and almond milk instead of milk. And we have like this little pan that kind of has the shape of like a little corn dog. I don't know.
Yeah.
And she puts she'll fill it up with cornbread mix, and then put the baby carrot in there and bake it and mix little carrot dogs. Okay. They have grilled cheese day, so we do a hummus sandwich.
Hummus sandwich.
I'm trying to think of a couple. They
do beans and rice too sometimes.
They do have beans and rice days. Those days are fine.
Jambalaya.
They have a jambalaya day, so my mom does a vegetable jambalaya. They have a meatball day. We make bean balls. So just like you take some beans and smash them up into balls, and we bake them with a little sauce. I think that's pretty much.
That's about it.
Most
Yeah,
of the
that about
rotation.
covers it.
Fish sticks. So the fish sticks are very similar to how we make the chicken nuggets, or whatever, chicken nuggets is what we call them.
Chickpea nuggets.
Yeah, chickpea nuggets.
Yeah, so this is. I mean, there's not that many dishes. It's like you sort of experiment and you master like 10 different things,
right?
And you've basically got childhood covered.
Yeah,
right.
It's super easy.
Like, because what you're describing is like what I ate in high school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's not like, well, I'm only 3, but my palate is going to really change when I'm 7 or 8. They're going to be serving kids chicken nuggets and tater tots and pizza and fish sticks through senior year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You guys are all set.
Yep. And as far as the snacks at school, we most of the snacks are okay. Some of them are not. That's something we're working on. Sending him substitutes for. Like I said, it was a baby step approach for me. But I mean, I say baby steps. It's big, huge steps. But I mean, we're constantly open to tweaking and getting better and better. But yeah, I feel like we've done a pretty good job with it so far.
Right. And when you look at Grayson as, he's growing up and his energy level and his health and his vitality, compared to other kids, you're not worried that you're like depriving him of valuable nutrients.
He is
not at all
chunky, like you would not. Yeah, he's
very calm. He's not a hyper kid, and I truly think that the plant-based diet has a lot to do with that.
Absolutely, because we kind of limit, we limit his sugar and stuff too. I mean, clearly processed sugars. A lot of parents do that, but I'm talking about even like, because we'll get really, really clean juices and stuff like that, but we still limit, how much he has. We try to make sure he drinks plenty of water.
Plenty of water, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, how old is he now?
He's 2.5.
2.5. So you're not quite at the point where he's going to start making his own decisions. Do you have thoughts about like when he gets invited to birthday parties and it becomes really clear that he's sort of, quote, missing out?
Right. We've thought about it, and I don't think we fully have decided how we're going to address it at that time.
We're hoping that, raising him up this way, he'll see his entire family's, plant-based and, hopefully he'll just follow in our footsteps,
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just make sure we give him the proper knowledge and education, and and say, hey, here's this is all the facts. Here it is. All I can do is hope that he makes the best decision, and and if he doesn't, that's not the end of the world, and if one day he does decide to eat the pizza at the party, then maybe he might go, you know what, it really wasn't worth it. Who knows? So that's kind of how we feel about it. To me, it's no different than raising your kid in any other way you may believe. Like, say, for instance, down here, religion is a big thing. Say you raise your kid a certain religion or a certain way, and there's something you don't agree with. Well, they might go off and do that anyway. does it stop you from teaching your children something you believe, you know? And because we get that a lot. A lot of people will tell us, "Well, what you gonna do when he eats meat later?" I'm like, all I can do is teach him. You know?
Yeah. As if the possibility negates your efforts, right? Well, if he eats meat someday, then I shouldn't even try to get him to eat healthy, right?
Right. Exactly.
And I will say, honestly, one thing I'm super proud of, because he has, like I said, you know, we kind of took us a while to let go of the seafood and stuff. So he has had fish a couple of times and stuff like that. But the thing that I'm probably most proud of is he is 2.5 and he has never had a Happy Meal. And I think that is just awesome. And because sometimes people do try to sneak him things here and there have been times where
he doesn't like it.
They have tried to sneak him something.
He'll spit it out.
And he has spit it out. Yeah.
And you know, the little guy, he's a runner. He the other day we were just, you know, we was home for the weekend and decided to go for a little walk, and he just got, you know, we hadn't had any rain in a while, so the ditches are really dry. So he got in the ditch and just took off running. I mean, just nonstop. I believe he logged like 1.5 miles.
Yeah. He has my old Garmin on him.
Yeah, he has his own Garmin watch.
So he watches you guys.
Oh yeah.
And he comes to all the races and he cheers.
He cheers the runners on, and he loves that. He'll be handing them water and, you know, bananas or whatever they have to eat. He loves it.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. We're very proud.
Yeah, and I think with it being his normal, you know, he's gonna want to mimic that and you know, what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be, you know, for him, you know, like it was for us.
That's all he's ever known.
Right. We had to change our entire way of thinking. You know, for what, 20-something years. You know, for him, it's what he knows.
Right. And, you know, you're in a community, you've got these tight family units that are supportive, but, you know, I've been down there, the general community, you know, it's not just like a religion, it's like a heresy, right?
Right. Yeah.
And you guys aren't shying away from your responsibility. And this, you know, this drives me crazy when parents kind of like eat well themselves, but they're like, well, I don't want to tell my kids what to eat.
Right.
And to me, that's like a total abdication of responsibility. Like, it's like, well, I don't punch people in the mouth myself, but I don't want to tell my kid how to behave.
Yeah.
You know, can you talk a little bit about like your sense of responsibility, like what you owe it to Grayson to share?
And to me, it's almost, I don't know. I mean, it's our duty to teach him the right way, you know, and not, you know, my mom may have not known, you know, didn't know better because, you know, she taught me the same things that she was taught. But, you know, I wasn't taught healthy habits at all. And, you know, and I think that, you know, what might have been different, you know, if that wasn't so foreign to me, you know, if getting out and being active and, you know, if salad was just a food, not a diet food, you know, how might my life have, you know, maybe I wouldn't have been overweight my whole life, you know, who knows? But I think it's our duty as a parent, you know, to try to teach our kids healthy habits.
Right.
Well, you guys, it's such a pleasure to talk to you, to hear, you know, both sides of the story of sort of being encouraged and in some cases dragged along, and then like when the spark lights up, like nothing's getting in your way, and how you've completely, you know, in one generation, completely reversed like the entire sort of sad, deathly legacy of your people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and you're still coon asses, right?
Oh yeah.
It's not like you had to, you know, move to Malibu and start, you know, meditating in an ashram and wear beads and you know, say groovy. Like you haven't abandoned your culture. you're just living happy.
Right.
Exactly.
And my mom has done a pretty good job at making a lot of our favorite, Cajun dishes.
The gumbo, the jambalaya, stuff like
Pastelaya.
pastelaya.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she does a really good job with mimicking those.
Make it plant-based.
I keep asking when her cookbook's coming out.
She's working on it.
I've been trying to tell her. I'm like, hey, people are ready.
Awesome.
So, yeah, she's working on it.
Great. So your Facebook page, I want to encourage people to go to it and join. You don't have that much there yet, but I think when people go and get to know you and comment and connect with you, like you guys are clearly passionate, experienced, funny, smart. You got a great spirit. You're sharing good stuff. But I want to get you a few thousand followers so that you guys really take this thing seriously, because the world needs your experience here, and it needs.
We just help everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and we always could use new ideas too. Like I said, to keep it fun and exciting for kids. That sometimes can be a challenge, and we've been doing pretty well with it. But I'm always open to, new ideas too.
Right. I did a podcast episode maybe a couple of years ago now, because my niece had a baby, and she had to put him in daycare and wanted to know what to feed him. So I reached out to a bunch of people and just did a podcast episode on what do I feed my kid when they go to daycare? So there's so many resources and so many people out there who have answers for you.
Right.
And you guys are putting your own spin on it, and continuing to tear up old achievements. And it's so inspiring. So I encourage everyone to go to the show notes for this episode. I'll grab those photos from you if it's all right, and share them. And people will look at them and go, "Holy shit! I want some of that."
Yes, and I am still currently losing. I think Derek's probably about hit his stopping point.
Yeah.
But I'm still. In fact, I've since we've started cleaning up even more, I've lost about another 8 pounds in the last 6 weeks. So.
Congratulations.
We got next year is going to be a big year for us. We got
he's already signed us up for like 3 half marathons.
I got a 50K in 3 weeks. I got a marathon already on the list. I have a half. Kassi has 2 halves. We doing Leadville. I want to do a 50 miler. I want to do a 100K. It's like I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, wow! I saw that thing on your Facebook feed. It said, with the kid crying. Like, sorry, kid, there's no Christmas presents. Your parents spent all their money on race fees. But I can't think of a better present to give a kid than happy, healthy parents.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Because I think about things, even my mom, and I was thinking about this the other day when I was running, and it's actually a post I want to make, but I haven't gotten to yet. But my mom was 28 when she had me, and I'm the baby. So she was a very young mom, and she can probably physically do more with my son Grayson than she could ever do with us. Because she was so overweight, and because of her health, and she's 60 now. And so to me, that says something, that she can she can get on the floor and play with Grayson and run around, and she couldn't do that with us.
Right.
And so I think that's pretty amazing. So, it doesn't matter what age you are, the changes, they need to be made.
Yep.
And
like I said, you gain life by, eating this way, by being plant-based, it's been awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Kassi and Derick, thank you so much for all you've done, for your advocacy, for bringing such a beautiful soul into the world and raising him right. And
thank you.
I can't wait to cheer you on and run next to you at Leadville.
All right.
Sounds great.
We are excited.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Thanks, guys. If you enjoyed this episode of the Plant Yourself podcast, please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. And for more information about that Big Change program that starts on February 5th, 2018, visit bigchangeprogram.com. And be sure to check out the show notes for today's episode at plantyourself.com/252. If you're new to Plant Yourself, you can catch up on 251 archived episodes over at plantyourself.com. And if you get the podcast, but not my weekly-ish newsletter, The Big Change Bulldog, you can sign up at plantyourself.com for that as well. I've got a new PDF transcript for you. It's show number 163 with Tim Kaufman, one of the most popular guests I've had on the show. He is amazing. If you don't know who he is, you can check that out at plantyourself.com/163. And a big thank you to Ilona Schwartz and Kelly Machia for getting that transcript all typed up and beautiful and ready for everyone to enjoy. In garden news, not much going on outside, but inside we're preparing, and my wife is studying herbal medicine, so we may see a lot more herbs in the garden this year, along with everything else. In running news, I'm still not at 100%. I'm probably at 40 or 50%. I did do a 10-miler with Gio on Saturday, but my back is still kind of tweaked, so I'm forcing myself to take it easy and do other stuff instead. But I do have the Tobacco Road Marathon coming up end of March, and it looks like I'm not going to PR. I'm certainly not going to Boston qualify, so we'll see what makes the most sense in terms of my truncated training and my approach to that race. Let's see if I can run it with my legs and not my ego. All right, thank you to Will Ridenauer, Cora player extraordinaire, for allowing me to use Sabali Dawn, the Dance of Peace, as the theme music for this show. Check out willridenauer.com for more. And of course, thanks to all you Plant Yourself podcast patrons, including Kim Harrison, Lynn McClellan, Anthony Disson, Brittany Porter, Dominic Mara, Barbara Whitney, Tammy Black, Amy Good, Amanda Hatherley, Mary Jane Wheeler, Ellen Kennelly, Melissa Cobb, Rachel Barons, Christine Nielsen, Tina Sharf, Tina Ahern, Jennifer Kanovsky, David Bizek, Mysterious, Michelle X, Elizabeth Feldman, Victoria Dolman, Oli Stroll, Alan Christensen, Colleen Peck, Michelle Andrew, Jolizina, Julianne Rollins, Stu Dolnick, Sarah Durkis, Ron the Circuit, Kelly Cameron, Wayne Pedersen, Leanne Peterson, Janet Selby, Claire Adams, Tom Franzik, Jeanette Benham, Gil Lasser, David Donahue, Blair Cyber, Dorana Vizo, Kichio, and Carolyn Argentati, Jody Friesner, Ruth Ann Funderburk, Misha Rosen, Michael Warbeck, the equally mysterious Tracy Z, Alicia Lemus, Rebecca Hughes, Val Linneman, Rhymes with Cinnamon, Nick Harper, Stephanie Holmes, Martha Bergner, Nicole Ramsey, Susan Allen, Molly Levine, the inscrutable Harry R., Susan Laverty, the Panda Vegan, Craig Kovic, Adam Scharf, Karen Burry, Heather Morgan, Ashley Corker, and Kelly Machia, Deanne Norton, Bonnie Lynch of Plant Happy Oregon, Sabine Kurtzels, Nigel Davies, Marion Blum, Teresa Copel, Shell Rutledge, Julian Watkins, Breed O'Connell, Brian Sheridan, Shannon Hirschman, Kate Rolls, Linda Ayat, Julie Lang, Home Hedegaard, Isa Tuzinwa, Connie Hainline, Aaron Greer, Alicia Davis, Aviva L, Heather O'Connor, Carolyn Jensen, Sherry Olakoski of Plant Powered for Health, Karen Smith, Scott Morandi, Karen Joe Crabtree, Tanya Lewis, Kirby Burton, and Teresa Carell. Or is it Carol? For your generous support of the podcast. That's it for this week. As always, be well, my friends.